Let me know when you're ready, Mr. Chairman.
I'm ready. I'll count down. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Madison Fire District regular session virtual meeting, April 21st, 2020 at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Gontner.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Best.
Mr. Best has another commitment. He won't be here. He texted me this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Wayman.
Here. Okay, everyone, please join me in a moment of silence.
Here. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the approval of the regular session meetings, March 17th, 2021? Is there a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gontner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion for the bills and payrolls for March 2021? Bills $110,926.26. Tax collection fees $34,837.75. Payroll $143,146.29 for a total of $288,910.30. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
A second, Adams.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, for the point of clarity, did you say $910 or $810?
At the bottom, $910.30.
Okay, yeah. All right. Very good.
Thank you. Yes.
Just so the board knows that the reason bills are so high is we had to pay our half of the dispatching, which was $56,893.
Any other questions from Ms. Clapp? Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gontner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Okay, we come to March 2021 financial report. Ms. Clapp.
Yes, so we started March with $4,394,191.32. Our revenue was for the month to date is $1,601,016.73. Our year-to-date revenue is, and it's a little off because I was transferring money to the capital projects, is $2,194,480 or $8.39. Our month-to-date expenditures, because of that transfer from general fund to the capital projects, is actually $343,410.30. And our year-to-date expenditures is $767,339.64. So we started April with $5,651,797.75.
Any questions from Mrs. Clapp? Okay. Okay, move on to
Mr. Anderson, I do have one item too to just ask. I mentioned this to the chief and Mr. Anderson. Would you like to have the 2022 budget hearing next month? I mean, it's that alternative tax budget. I will actually be in training up in Sandusky in June, but I mean, I'll be zooming in. It's up to you, but I think Mr. Anderson said he might not be here in June.
Right, I'm not. May would be with me.
Joanne, I thought the tax budget didn't have to be into the auditor till July. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, it is the July, we usually do it in the June meeting.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? And we gotta have that public hearing, that's the reason why I was asking.
Got it.
What's the
Yeah.
board's feeling on that?
I have no problems with that. Anybody else? Anybody have any?
If Joanne's gonna be ready to go, Max, I don't have a problem with it if she can have it all together. I mean, it's really not, it's not the final budget anyways. It's
No.
that budget you're required by law to put together that doesn't really, by the time you get to the real budget, it looks totally different.
Correct,
Right.
you're right, yes.
Right,
Yeah. I could do that. I could have it and get it ready to advertise.
okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Mrs. Clapp?
So one question on that, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is for Stacy. Would we then have to make a motion during the regular meeting because it's required statutorily to have that hearing? Will we need to make a motion during the regular meeting to set the date and time for that?
Yes, I would
Yeah.
strongly recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be May 19th.
May 19th, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna do it a few minutes before, or you wanna do it?
Now we can do it right now, I guess. We are in the regular meeting, aren't we? I was thinking
We
we
are.
were in the
That's why I was-
What am I thinking?
I know.
Thinking of township, you know? I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we hold the required statutory budget hearing on May 19th at 7 PM with the regular meeting immediately follow.
Is there a second?
Second, Lee.
Any further discussions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Gottner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Thank you for doing that, Mr. Gardner.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on. Any public portion? Chief Baker?
Mr. Chairman, we've received no email questions from outside.
Okay. We'll move on to legal counsel. Ms. Dane?
I don't have anything specific to report. Any of the resolutions that I was asked to prepare, review are indicated in new business, so.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to old business, renovation in addition to Fire Station 2. Mr. Baker, did you want to elaborate on that, or?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I did forward the information that I've received from CT Consultants. I spoke to Andrew Tarowski today. He is our program manager, our project manager. He indicated that the mechanical and electrical engineers were just beginning to sink their teeth into the project, and it was his hope that they would have the bidding information, architect estimates, etc. for the next meeting. I kind of left it at that because I wanted to leave it to the pleasure of the board. It sounds as though essentially they're in a process that puts us a month behind our schedule, and I would be more than happy at the board's pleasure, or I would welcome board members, one of the board members, to help maybe leverage to see if we couldn't get something between now and the next meeting so that we don't lose valuable time in the project. The way the project stands now, we should have had final approval today with bid specs going out. We would have then had bids coming in prior to the next meeting and selecting somebody. And so essentially we're really looking now at this getting pushed back to July, August. I would prefer to try to leverage them to do something sooner and maybe have a special meeting. But again, that's at the pleasure of the board.
I agree with you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Gardner or Mr. Lee, Mr. Wayne, anybody have any?
Mr. Chairman, I did talk to the chief today. I think the sooner they can get us that information, we have to call a special meeting to pass a resolution to put it out for bid once they come up with their architect's estimate. We probably can do it. I mean, it's not that hard because we're all sitting at home. We just get on the computer and to call a special meeting and do it. I think, as I said to the chief today, probably the biggest issue that CT's gonna have is they do have to come up with an architect's estimate, and we can't exceed, the bids can't exceed, but 10%, Stacy, of the architect's estimate. And right now, the cost of lumber, who knows where, it's gonna be tough for anybody to put an estimate on the cost of the project based on what lumber's doing, but we're just gonna have to hope for the best.
I agree. Yeah, I also talked with people about that today and told them we would, if we can get this moving and go into a special meeting, get it moving, we have to. I don't wanna wait till June, July, August, and then now, by the time they get it going, we're gonna be in the fall.
Mr. Chairman, if it please the board, I'd be happy to reach out to Andrew again and press. I'd also be willing to accept any assistance Mr. Gautner would like to offer. He's got a little more experience doing this, but I think we need at least a point person or point people to maybe continue to encourage them to work within the timeline we provided. But again, that's entirely up to the board.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem calling Andrew Turowski. We, as you know, you and Mr. Wayman and I, we dealt with them on 2 projects over at Stanton Park, so we developed a relationship. And of course with his boss, Bill Gallagher, as well, who I've done many projects with. Right. But even if they could, I would like to do something before May 19th, if possible. I just don't know how close they are to being ready, but I can pick up the phone and call them tomorrow and talk.
If you would, that'd be appreciated.
Sure.
And if you need any, also, to meet with them, both of us can go and, try to get this going. I'd be more than happy to help.
No problem. I mean, we made it, and I understand they're probably pretty busy, but our timeline was very clear
right.
When we set it out, so not sure where they fall. It sounds like maybe the mechanical guys got busy, because the architectural stuff, the elevation drawings, the floor plan, it all seems to be done, but obviously you got to have the mechanical guys, the electrical and the HVAC, and it sounds like maybe they got busy. So then I'll find out and see what I can do.
All right. Chief Baker, Mr. Gautner, get in touch, then he'll get in touch with you, or maybe you both want to get together. It's up to you, and I'm more than willing to help whatever way. But if you two want to start off with it, and if they want somebody else, we got to push them. We need to, because they did have a timeline. Okay. Any other questions on that? We'll get started on it, Mr. Gautner. Thank you. We'll get that going. Any other on that subject?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Move on to administrative assistant position. Chief Baker, turn this one over to you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as we talked about at the last board meeting, we actually did put a posting out. I did send it to Ms. Dame for her review. She had a couple recommendations which were included in the posting that we put out. We have not done it in the newspaper as of yet. We simply put a job posting on our Facebook page, and within 48 hours have received 16 applicants / individuals for the position. I have had lengthy conversation with Ms. Brass. She understands kind of what my goal is, and that goal is to try to expedite identifying a candidate so that we have adequate overlap with Ms. Brass and whoever the new candidate is, to orient, understand how the operation works in the front. And the other goal was to try to get them to be involved potentially in the next board meeting, and then allowing the new candidate then to fill Nyla's role for the June meeting, so that we transitioned to this person in July. There are some interesting applicants that we have. I guess my question to the board, I would like to move forward as quickly as we can. I would like to call people this week and schedule interviews next week. I'm not sure what the board's pleasure with the involvement is. I would be happy to schedule them and let the board know when interviews are. I don't know if the board wants to be a part of the interview process. I just would like some feedback on what your what your perception is or what you want your role to be in the hiring process.
Chief, I'm speaking for myself. I have no problem with you moving forward with that and you handling it, you with the captains, just like we've done down here in the township. We let our administrator and all them that they interview and then come back with us on who they recommend, because you're with them 24/7. We're not. We're there like once a month or occasionally stop in or whatever, but that's my opinion. And I have nothing more to say. You can move on as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Gardner, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Adams, whatever you guys feel.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say that I would echo your sentiments on that deal.
Sounds good by me.
And
Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. I think it's the chief's call. Do the interviews, make a recommendation to us who he wants to hire.
Right. Mr. Adams?
I agree. Let the chief run.
There you go, Chief. Take it and go.
okay, and I guess my thought process too, depending on what we see from Mr. Tarowski with CT Consultants, perhaps if we have a special meeting and we can identify somebody between now and when they have information available, maybe we can bring this individual to the board at that special meeting so that they can be sitting and participating in our regularly scheduled May meeting. If that pleases the board, I will start making phone calls tomorrow.
Yes. I have no problem with that.
Ms. Dame,
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Ms. Dame, anything from a legal perspective, or you want to connect offline if there is?
No, I mean, you just have to make sure that if you're gonna do it in a special meeting, that you provide the notice in the special meeting that that's also being considered. And then obviously it's the board who would be hiring this individual and setting their terms of employment. So you can make the recommendation and you can connect with me at any time if you have questions about interview process or anything like that.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anything more in old business? Anybody have anything in old business? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Mrs. Dame, on resolutions 12 and 13.
Okay, I'm unmuted, right?
Yeah.
Resolution number 2112 is a resolution accepting a donation from the Auditor of State of a Dell laptop computer. My understanding is that this is the one that will be used by our fiscal officer to run the UAM program.
No,
Is there a
actually,
motion?
this is the one I had you running. This is the one
This
I
is
had running the UAM program. Now it's going to Chief Baker. Chief Baker already took it.
Okay. I know it involves UAM, that's what you told me, so.
They gave me I have the new laptop now, yes.
All right, is there a motion on resolution 21-112? What? Yeah, 112.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that,
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
I'll move that we accept resolution number 21-12.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Gauntner,
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Dane, on resolution 13?
Yes, resolution number 21-13 is a resolution authorizing the Madison Fire District to accept the proposal from Potite Masonry, Inc. for concrete driveway repair and replacement at Station 3, authorizing performance of the work proposed and authorizing payments provided therein. The resolution does reference an Exhibit A, which was also uploaded to the board folder, which was their proposal for the work.
Okay, is there a motion for resolution 21-13?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? I'd like to have in there too, what the total's gonna be, will not exceed, what is it?
Yes,
20?
23,800.
Right,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
for the record, this project has been going on since last fall. I did reach out to 3 other vendors, actually 4 other vendors. Mr. Poteye is the only one that did come out and take a look at the project. Prior to doing this, we did reach out to Sidley's. I did meet with Mr. Rob Wilson from Sidley's. He came out, examined the concrete, went back and pulled the batch information. And per Sidley, the only difference in that front pad that's flaking up is that it was a high something or other concrete, which meant it was mixed so that it would harden in 24 hours and we can use the driveway. That mix was different than the rest of the driveway, but he saw no other indications of variation. So Sidley's was not willing to do anything to rectify.
Well, at least you reached out. We tried twice. I think you tried, and you left a few messages too, and they never got back with you right away, and you had to get back with them. So I have no problem with moving on with this. So no further questions.
Just one, Mr. Chairman, if I could real quick. Chief, I was looking at the quote. It's 6-inch thick concrete, 25 feet by 83. Is that 83 deep from the edge of the road or 83 wide? I didn't realize if it's 83 deep from the road. I guess I didn't realize it was that bad, that far back.
Yes, the width of the driveway is 25 feet, and it comes in 83 feet from the road. Yeah, and Mr. Ponai did come dig. He did a dig out by the pad, just to examine and make sure he was going to replace it with the same depth of concrete, because it wasn't a depth problem, it was a mix problem.
All right. Okay. That was all I had.
No further questions. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Gontner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Okay. No more any other new business? All right.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to mention something under new business.
Yes, sir.
It deals with our inspections. And I had someone from a local church here in Madison approach me a couple weeks ago, and he asked why is the fire department charging the churches $50 for their inspections? And I thought, well, it's a good point. And I thought about it a lot, and I think I mentioned to Mr. Gottner and Mr. Anderson. I thought that we probably shouldn't be charging the churches. They're for the most part, they're not for profit or anything. They're just serving the people of this community in a what I consider a nice way. So it's something I think the board should maybe think about, maybe waiving the inspection fees for churches. I mean, we don't have to make that decision tonight, but I'm just throwing it out there.
All right. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, if I can
Yes.
just add to Mr. Wayman's point, the one thing I do want the board to recall is one of the things that we have done at this point is we've essentially waived that second fee. So if we do come back for a reinspection and they have made the corrections, we're not charging them, which I have no problem with. And if it's the board's feeling that they want to waive it for the churches, I also understand that, but we also do have a board member who is very interested in making sure that this is break even. And again, I don't have an issue if the board so chooses to go that way, but I also want them to understand as we continue to make concessions on areas of revenue, it does impact. In churches, there's not that many, but again, we've been questioned about whether our revenue is matching our expense. So I just want to make sure that the next time somebody asks that we remember, as we modify this, it also modifies how that impacts the budget. I have no budget concerns. I just want to make sure that, again, if that's the board's choice, that's fine. But when somebody asks about that and says, why are we $2,000 below what we thought we would be, these are some of those decisions. That's all.
Thank you. All right. We move on to Chief's report.
Thank you, sir. The monthly report, some of the anniversaries we have this year, firefighter Nick Core and firefighter Mike Maskell both completed 11 years. Firefighter Margaret Lalka just completed her 4th. Miss Clapp went over the finances already. I know it's early because we're only really looking at the first quarter, but The tax revenue looks good. We're within 0.1% on EMS billing at this point. Again, it's a little premature to try to look at some of those things. And I do want to let the board know that the new full-time hires have reduced significantly the overtime, I believe, and Captain Sopko, if I'm incorrect, let me know, but I believe we have one overtime shift and the 28-day cycle now as compared to significantly more in the past. So I'm hoping that that's helped stabilize things, especially as the summer comes and we move into vacations. Call volume, it was a busy month, 271 calls. Busy day today. Today was a 19 call day so far. And I put in there the information about the estimate, the CT consultants. Other than that, again, we got that $10,000 and made the purchases of the radios that we received from the state fire marshal's office. Other than that, things seem to be running smoothly. Vehicles are in good condition. Staffing has improved. Captain Sopko, I know, is on here. If I've missed something, Captain Sopko, let me know. But we're in good shape. COVID numbers have increased. But I will tell you our involvement with COVID, and when I say increased, now there's days that we have 4 or 5 in Madison. But I will tell you that our involvement with transporting COVID patients has significantly dropped. I mean, it's not an everyday, it's not a 2 or 3 time a week. We're maybe seeing a COVID patient a week. So the good news is it appears that that's much more under control. And other than that, I don't have a lot more to report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the chief? I have one, Chief. With the 4 we hired, Nat, how's it been working out? I know it's a short time to really, but it's been, what, a month or so?
Yeah, actually, it's been 3 weeks.
3, okay. I was just curious how it's been working, you know.
It's good. I mean, it's helped. It's stabilized the staff. It's given us, instead of having that 8 one day, 5 the next. For the most part, we're at least 3 and 3. There's some days that we're still a little bit short. But again, this business, and I mean, for me, it's been 30 years. Terry's been more than I. It's up and down. I mean, all we can try to do is, to quote somebody else, flatten the curve. And I think the addition of these 4 folks are going to help us flatten the curve. Maybe we'll be talking about that again next year. But they're doing a good job.
Right. And I've been watching, you guys have been getting a lot of calls. A lot of calls. A lot of runs. All right, any other questions for the chief?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I had one question.
Go ahead, Mr. Wade.
Chief, how's that new truck working out? I was curious.
The new engine?
Yeah.
Geez, see, this slipped my mind. So the new engine currently is in for some warranty work, Cummins diesel warranty work. I guess the reason it slipped my mind is because it's not costing us anything. During some of the pump drills, the fellas noticed a smell of antifreeze, and upon examination, Lieutenant Henry, who likes to climb underneath things and look, found an oil leak, and Captain Sopko reached out to the manufacturer, and actually they directed him to Cummins, excuse me, and it was taken to Cummins a few days ago. I believe it was maybe a head gasket cap and a valve cover gasket. They found the radiator problem was a cracked radiator cap. So
Wow.
it's nothing like detrimental, but again, Captain Sopko jumped on it, and you know, if it's under warranty, they can fix it now for free. Terry, I don't know if
it's actually done. It's coming back tomorrow morning.
But otherwise,
Good.
yeah, otherwise I think everybody's pretty happy. It's a sharp truck. We've not had any issue at all. It's performing.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
Where did you have to take it to repair?
It's out on Northfield Road in
Walton Hills.
Walton Hills, just by the MGM Grand Racino, whatever it is.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
And that really isn't even the Spartan vendor that we chose. There have been some other folks that have had some Cummins issues of late. And unfortunately, there's only so many choices of engine.
You know.
Yep.
So how long was that out of commission?
It'll be maybe a week total, Cap.
We took it out there last Tuesday, so we're picking it up tomorrow. So a little bit over a week.
Which has been good because the old girl's got a little exercise on her now. We took the reserve and the fellas have been, and it's actually good. It's good to use those instead of letting them sit. So old 2133's been getting some mileage on her.
How about the two squads? I know they were lighter duty when we got those up. How they've been doing?
I'm telling you, and I won't go into detail, but I'm going to tell you right now that's been a big discussion. Those two vehicles, the only issue that we've had with those was and it wasn't a tie rod. It was something on the front end. The only tough part with those squads is because it wasn't a ball joint either. It was something with the stabilizer arm or something. But
Camber bushings.
Camber bushings. There you go. I knew if we'd guess it enough, we'd get it. But we've had to replace camber bushings on both of them, and we've had to replace front tires because the rear end of that truck is heavy, so the front end's a little bit lighter. But I don't want to curse anything or jinx anything, but those two squads, other than batteries, brakes, and I think
did jinx it.
Yeah, and I think 22, which is at Station 2, has got over 60,000 miles on it. So that was a steal and a very good investment. I mean, for what we paid, $103,000 a piece, and the service that we've gotten out of them, that was a good move.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief? Okay, Chief, any closing public portion?
Let me go back to my email here. No, sir, there are no emails from the public.
Okay, we move on to closing board comments. Any board comments?
I'll just make a quick comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Basically for you and Ken, I just want to let you know that my cell phone is down for at least 2 days to 5 days. So if you need to get a hold of me, use my landline.
Okay,
All right,
That's all.
that's good to know. Thank you, Pete.
thanks, Pete.
Yep.
Okay, there's no further, but our next meeting will be May 19th, 2021 at 7 p.m. along with the budget. And we'll go right into our regular meeting, and the next one will be June 16th, 2021, 7 p.m. There's no further business.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, could I bring it up real quick?
Yes.
Just sparked my memory.
Yes.
As you know, we decided to go back to live public meetings at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Starting May 11th. And I know, I just got my first shot yesterday, I'm actually due for my second one on May 11th in the morning. Any thoughts from the board members about getting back to Station 3 and doing this in person, anytime soon?
I'm good with whatever.
Yeah, me too.
I'm good with it.
Mr. Chairman, the other thing is with the technology that was installed, and I would say Ms. Dame would have to answer on this. I mean, we do have the ability to hybrid if that's something they could do if somebody's not able to attend. We can still use the Google Meet platform. We can have them in attendance on the television so that the board members can see the person not present. So there is some option if the board chose to go hybrid that we could set up. I just don't know from a legality standpoint. Ms. Dame might have to refer to you.
Yeah, and I'll just double check it, as the last I knew is that was still permitted at this point, just because of the status of things, but I'll definitely double check and communicate to the board if it's not permitted.
Okay. So to answer Mr. Gardner's question, we want to do the 19th or do we want to wait till June 16th? Makes no difference.
I'm ready to go on the 19th, but I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable who's not. Bob, you got any thoughts on that?
Not a problem.
Okay.
I say we do it then.
I would be surprised if Mark's opposed to it, only because of all of us. He has more contact with different people on a daily basis,
Right.
in his line of work. So I would
Right.
be surprised if he's opposed. I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we take the May 19th meeting back to, our normal venue at Station 3, all in person.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Will the driveway be fixed by then?
No, you'll want to pull in slowly.
Okay.
All right, no further questions? Roll call, please.
Darla, you're muted.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Gontner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Okay. Any further business? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Gontner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Okay, everyone have a good evening. Time is 7:36. And
See you
everybody,
in person.
oh yeah, on, May 19th. Joanne, can you, give me a call when you get a chance? We can talk for the next, May 19th, board meeting, so I can get all the information for the, budget and that. Okay,
Yep, I can do that.
I appreciate it. All right, everyone have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.